graduate nurses, but we have expanded our school to College of Nursing and Other Health Professions. So we thought we would represent each of our health professions now and have each one of them present something about each of our degrees. We first want to give a round of thanks and applause to the graduate school. They are the ones that provided the yummy and healthy snacks. Make sure you get your apple and then your cookies. And also for applications, you go to the graduate school's website and you can apply for graduate school there. There's a yellow handout that just has a very brief synopsis of our speakers. And their emails are listed here on the board, especially for Meredith White, our DNP family nurse practitioner, and for Rhonda Volk, our Masters of Health Administration from Franciscan Alliance. The others are right here in the College of Nursing and Health Professions. You should be able to find them. Ladies, would you like to have a seat? Next year we have to make sure we have some gentlemen. Lady, would you like to have a seat? We did. What happened to our chairs? Oh, one more. Okay. Oh, okay. We're still fighting for chairs. Okay. We are going to start with Dr. Amy Corey, and she's going to talk about her Master's of Public Health. And she has to leave early. Usually our format is they're going to talk about their education process. They're going to talk a little bit about how they're using that degree and their passion for their career. And we usually like to have the questions held to the end. So if you have a question about a particular degree, please write your question down and we'll ask at the end. But because Dr. Corey has to leave, we're going to let you ask a few questions of her before she leaves.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for coming, you all. Most of you all know me as Dr. Amy Corey. Most of you all know me from teaching in the nursing program, but I also direct the public health program as well and teach in that program. So I'm here today to give you a little bit more information about the public health side of Amy Corey, not just the nursing side of Amy Corey. So how did I get to where I am today? I have 3 degrees in nursing. I have my undergrad in nursing. I had my first master's degree in nursing as in advanced practice nursing for children, which prepared me as a nurse practitioner, but that's not why I'm here today. And then my 3rd degree in nursing was a PhD in nursing science. When I was practicing as an NP, I loved it. I love children. I love every aspect of pediatrics. So awesome if you're heading down that path. But I really thought that the majority of the things that I was seeing in both my work as an undergrad nurse in pediatric intensive care, as well as my work as a nurse practitioner, was preventable. And it was that prevention piece that really drove me to looking into public health. I started looking into public health in my PhD program, and then began my work, as many of you know, in Nicaragua on a crystal research project. And after I graduated from my PhD and continuing that work, really wanting to be able to see it more through a pure public health lens and not simply a public health nursing lens, I decided to go back for my Master's in Public Health. So that's where I come full circle to the topic of today. So my Master's in Public Health was from George Washington University. It was a 2-year program, but many MPH programs have an executive route where you can finish it in a year. It was online, similar to what our program will be here, where you can sit in the comfort of your own home, but you're still getting face-to-face contact with your faculty people. And so in my Master's in Public Health, you can specialize in many different areas. If public health interests you, and I can tell you just a little bit more about it, because many people have this misconception of what it really is. They think it's hand washing and insurance, and it's not. It is so much more than hand washing and insurance. I have a book that's 101 Careers in Public Health. And so there are so many different things that you can do as a nurse, as a future physician assistant, as a healthcare leader, as a health administrator in the public health field. And so I would be happy to talk to you about any of those things, but really the educational preparation was 2 years of classes. There are core classes that public health professionals have to take so that we're all similarly educated, and then we branch off into our specialty areas, and that's where my specialty area is in global health. And so yes, I've worked quite a bit in my career. I truly think even though I finished my MPH in 2015, I've really been working in the field since 2000. Even my work as a nurse practitioner was in a federally qualified healthcare center, which is population focused. And so what differentiates kind of public health from other disciplines that are sitting with me today, all awesome and represented, is that we really look at big populations of people and how we can prevent disease in populations and large groups of people rather than working with individuals. And so that population focus really does kind of separate us out from other disciplines within the College of Nursing and Health Professions. So after those 6 core classes, I went into more specific global health classes and was able to take global health related classes in my program. I also, Masters of Public Health programs have generally an internship type of component called the practicum. Some of you all know that name very well. They have a practicum type program, and then they have a capstone where we're generally evaluating whatever work we did in our practicum programs. And so, yes, most of my work has been in rural Nicaragua, but I've also worked on water projects in Tanzania. I worked on water projects in Nicaragua. I've also worked, we're beginning to do some work in Haiti, trying to figure out where projects might go from that perspective. I've done some work in Guatemala and in Costa Rica. So global health really is my passion, and really being able to work with people to help meet their goals rather than having prescribed goals. What we think people should do in various countries isn't exactly what should happen in other countries. So it's really working and recognizing the individual's expertise. Everyone comes to the table with a different perspective, especially about their health, and helping to actualize and realize their goals, these community members' goals, what resources they have in their own community to meet those goals, and just help to mentor them along the way. So if anyone, I apologize that I can't stay the whole time. I have a conference call that starts at 5. So I was kind of butting up against that, so to speak, but you guys, most of you know how to reach me. My last name's spelled C-O-R-Y if you're in the health science program and have an interest in public health. Please don't hesitate to email me. I'd be happy to tell you more about it, but I guess I'm at liberty I have 5 minutes to answer questions. So if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to entertain those.
Besides global health, other specializations, can you, can you
101, so let me get started. No, it'll take 5 minutes. No, I'll give you a brief snippet of some, but that's an excellent question. Environmental health, that kind of mirrors a little bit of what I'm doing too, so I have an environmental health interest. Human health and behavior, so you can look at behavioral aspects of health. You can specialize in biostatistics, epidemiology, occupational health, environmental health, disaster preparedness. You can specialize in global health. I'm trying to at least hit the core classes. Policy and politics. That's an aspect of public health as well. A lot. And within those, there are different realms. So the really cool thing about public health, when I was doing my degree, there were certainly nurses in my classes, but there were also physicians. There were people who had majored in public health, people who majored in biology, chemistry, nursing. I had physician's assistants in my program. So I mean, it was just a wide range. And so public health is an interdisciplinary field. And so we all come to the table with different talents, and we can contribute to the health of population given the base of our talent. I will always be a nurse, without a doubt. But my passion is just for prevention and population-based approaches to that. So, great question. I'll loan you my book of 101 Careers. Yeah.
What was it like balancing between working here and getting your master's degree online? Because I know a lot of people are like interested in doing that right away, but they have to get the experience first. I'm one of them. So like, what is it really like
So the experience, that's an interesting, I'm hearing two questions, and just correct me if I'm wrong, because I may have a small, slightly different philosophy. So balancing work and life, and I do have home too, so that adds a third. The balance scale has 3 weights where I'm concerned, and so it's always trying to balance all. I mean, truly just taking care of yourself and recognizing if you aren't on your A game, nothing else is going to get done. And so really being able to recognize when I needed to take a step back from things, to take out breathers, so I was sane. And also having a supportive work environment was very helpful during that time as well. And so I was lucky enough to have a very supportive work environment while I was going through that. And I had the history of kind of doing my PhD in the same way, though I wasn't full-time at the time. So I had some experience with that as well, and recognized that a lot of you all like to stay up till 2 in the morning because I get emails at that time.
4.
Or 4 in the morning, yes. I shut it down at 8 p.m. because I can't write after 8 p.m. It is gobbledygook on a piece of paper. And so I shut it down at 8 p.m., but I may get up at 4 a.m. when Hussein's going to bed, and I may start to work. And so it's really figuring out what works for you. So that was a long-winded answer to that. The second thing to that question, I think I heard you say, if I'm correct, was getting experience first. I'm actually a believer, and so I may be different, in that you don't necessarily need experience before you go out into the work field. I can speak to that from each of my degrees. As a pediatric nurse practitioner, very different than Peds ICU, very different. I probably would have appreciated going straight through. If you've got momentum to finish, oh my goodness, just go for it. Public health, because you're coming and bringing expertise as a nurse or a PA or healthcare leader, you are adding to your knowledge base and not necessarily complementing your knowledge base. If your major is public health and you want to get a master's in public health, or when you get a master's in public health, for those of you that are sitting in the room that I see. And you can do that here starting in 2019, by the way. So you're adding to that knowledge base in a more specified area. So that's hopefully that helps answer your questions. One more question. Or not. If you have questions, don't hesitate to email me. You guys have an awesome panel up here, so enjoy the rest of it. I'm sorry I have to scoot early, but thank you so much for your time.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Many of you know who I am. I am Professor Migler, and I teach in the College of Nursing and Health Professions. I teach OB nursing, so all about having those babies and taking care of those babies and those women, and then also global health. So my route to where I am has been a long road. I graduated nursing school when I was 20 with a diploma. They don't have those anymore. That was a 2-year hospital-based program. So I graduated that in '85. Yes, it was many years ago. And then I decided that I might want to become a neonatal nurse practitioner. And so I went back for my bachelor's and received that in 2000, because of course you had to have your bachelor's to go on for your master's. And then I realized that I was kind of getting a little older, and I didn't want to do 24-hour call in the hospital and midnights and holidays, and so I just continued to work staff in neonatal nursing. And then when my daughter was in high school, someone had asked me if I would like to do a clinical for their LPN program as an OB instructor. And I said, sure, I'll give it a try. And I fell in love with students. I fell in love with helping students reach their goal and learn what they needed, what you need to do to go out and practice. And so then I moved into an actual faculty role at the LPN program, teaching fundamentals and OB. And it didn't work out so great. I had to leave for difference of opinions, I'll just say. And then I ended up working at a community college in an associate degree program, running the lab and the sim lab, like Professor Coast and Professor Cook and Zaweski do here. And I just fell more in love with the students. And I wanted them to come to the lab, and I wanted to help them with what they needed to study and tutor them. And then I decided to go back to school for my master's. And I did work full-time, 40 hours a week, and come to school. I got my master's here at VU. I graduated in 2011. It was supposed to be a 2.5-year program, but I did it in 2 years so that I could graduate in May when all of the faculty openings were available for fall semester, because I wanted to get into that arena. I wanted to have my own classes. And so I've been teaching here since 2011. The program was focused all on nursing education. It was a Master's of Science in Nursing Education. So it allowed me to take what I know as a nurse and learn how to share it with you effectively, and how to evaluate if you're learning what I'm teaching you. Because it doesn't do any good if I'm in class just talking and giving you a bunch of information and then you can't take it in and take it with you when you graduate. So it was very focused on the education aspect of nursing. And so I was very grateful for that, because that really helped me with my classroom practice. I did 2 classes a semester, so like I said, it took me 2 years. And then I've been teaching here as an educator with my master's, and I love my job, okay? I love taking what I know, helping you, and then having you go out and carry on the practice of nursing. Is there anything else I need to say? I could keep talking, but
I'm going to pass the microphone to Miss Professor
all right,
Pam.
that's all I have. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Pam Pinchak, and I am a physician assistant. I also work in the College of Nursing and Health Professions as the new director of clinical education for the PA program. So PAs, I'm a physician assistant, as I said, and PAs we're basically healthcare providers who practice medicine. We are found in all different specialties and do things like diagnose and treat and formulate treatment plans for patients. We order and interpret laboratory tests. We perform minor procedures and assist in surgeries. We prescribe medications in all 50 states. So the PA profession has come a long way in the 50 years that since it started. So I graduated from Chicago Medical School PA program with a Master of Science degree in PA practice. The program there is a 27-month program split up between classroom training and clinical rotations. Now the classroom training is like a full-time job. You're in class for 15 months, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So it's pretty intense. The clinical rotations are when you go out into the community and into the medical community in different settings, like the emergency department and the operating room, and different clinics like family medicine, pediatrics, women's health, and you train under the guidance of a preceptor, learning how to do the skills that you will practice as a practicing PA. So that part of the training is about 12 months, and you do about 2,000 hours of clinical training. So when I graduated, again, I got the master's degree, and one of my favorite rotations that I did was the emergency department. So I like the variety of patients, I liked the skills that you do, and I love the fast pace of that setting. So when I graduated, I went to work in the emergency department, and that setting had PAs working for them for a number of years. So it was a great setting. I learned a lot. PAs were well established, and we had just a great, experience there. But over time, the shift work, that's the drawback of that setting, was not something I wanted to do any longer. So I looked for a job that was a more Monday through Friday, schedule, and I found work in a cardiology clinic, working Monday through Friday. So that was perfect. And now in that setting, I see my own patients. I see about 24 patients a day if I have a full clinic. And I see patients throughout the gamut of cardiology symptoms, from chest pain, shortness of breath, irregular heartbeat. And my specialty areas there are heart failure patients and the patients with the cardiac devices like defibrillators and pacemakers. So as I said, right now I do that 1 day a week in the clinic, and I'm also here teaching and director of clinical education for the PA program here at BU. So thank you for having me today. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them now or later.
Later, please.
Later, please.
Our next guest is Ms. Rhonda Volk is an adjunct instructor in our Masters of Health Administration program. Would you like to tell us your story, please?
Everybody has enough time for my story. I'm the only non-clinical person up here, so feeling a little inadequate right now. But my story is, I kind of took a non-traditional route with my education. When I graduated high school, I started in a nursing program at Purdue. And about a semester in, I realized that it wasn't quite right for me, but I liked healthcare. So I started working in a clinic, and from there, I got into the management side and decided that if I really wanted to advance my career, I needed to go back to school. So I went to IU Northwest and obtained my undergrad in health services management. From there, I had different administrative jobs, and I eventually wound up at IU Health in LaPorte. And I had the opportunity there to work on, I worked primarily on the physician side, not in the hospital, but more in the ambulatory setting. And I had an opportunity to advance my career to an executive director and the potential of moving on to vice president. But in order to do that, I needed to complete my master's degree. So I went back to school in 2010 and completed my master's degree in about 2.5 years, working full-time, children at home, and working a very time-consuming job. Being in health administration is very exciting, but it also requires a lot of hours. So I worked for IU Health LaPorte for about 7 years as vice president of their physician network, which was about 100 providers that I was responsible for. I'm currently working at Franciscan Alliance, the Franciscan Physician Network in Munster, and there my responsibilities are for 146 providers and about 23 clinics. So health administration is a very exciting and challenging career. What I love about it the most is that it gives me the opportunity to do what I wanted to do in nursing, but nursing wasn't quite for me. It still allows me the opportunity to interact with patients, to be able to, through resource management, through working with quality, that we can provide the resources and the funding and all that stuff that we need to make healthcare organizations work. They're very complex organizations, and it takes a team to really make it happen. Nurses can't do what they do if we don't have administrators doing what they do. My day is never the same. I work with, as I said, I work with physicians, I do recruitment, I do management of physicians, I work with nurse practitioners and PAs, I work with our quality department, I work with our finance department, and there's just a variety of things that I do in a day. I put out fires, I try to prevent fires. So it's a very exciting, challenging, and fun career. And just like the Masters of Public Health, there's probably 101 careers or more that you can do. The MHA program is degree is very broad. So you can do everything from what I do. Our CEOs, COOs are usually MHAs. Population health management is very big for us right now. Working in insurance companies are MHAs. Just a broad scope of things that you can do with an MHA degree.
My name is
graduated from the DNP program here in 2016. I don't have quite the work experience that these ladies do. I just started about a year ago. So my approach to nursing was a little bit more traditional. I went straight from high school to Purdue and got my BSN. I worked during that summer in a med surge. And then I went ahead and went straight through to grad school, and I completed the 3-year program here. During that time, I continued to work part-time as a nurse. So I got a job with an agency, and I worked in surgery for 2 years. And I found my current job. I also work for Franciscan, and I work right across the street over at that office across from Target. And those doctors there see both peds and adults. So I was hired there as a student, and I think the favorite thing about my job is you never know what's going to walk in the door. It's all different. You see kids, you see adults, you see a wide range of different illnesses, ailments. So every day is a challenge. It's always something new. I would strongly encourage you, if you're thinking about going on to be an NP, if you're in your undergrad program right now, just to go ahead and go straight through, because honestly, a lot of the floor nursing work that you do does not translate very well to being a primary care provider for somebody, with the exception of, I think you learn a lot of communication skills that you don't really get being a student. So that's where I'm at. I've been there for about 1.5 years now, and I absolutely love it, and I don't foresee myself changing positions for quite some time.
Okay, so let's try and be organized in a little way. We have one runner, one microphone. So let's start with the back table. Any in the back row? Any questions for the panel? Say who your question is for, then your question. And we'll move to the next row, and so on and so forth. Don't make her get all her steps in one afternoon. Meredith, what was your favorite class in your DNP didactic?
This is probably not what some of my classmates would agree with, but I really liked theory, nursing theory. I liked all the medical classes too, but there's a lot of times when I've seen somebody and, Virginia or somebody, or their theories will pop into my mind, that this patient fits really well in here and stuff, and it always comes back around. So.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, this is for Meredith. So I'm just wondering, when you were applying for jobs after you got your master's or DNP, did they frown upon the fact that you didn't have experience in nursing?
No, I think the demand is so high that, a lot of doctors are just looking for, some help and some relief. I only applied for one job, I guess, because I knew that that's where I was going to work. But from, preceptors and the girls that I graduated with, I did not see that being an issue. Everybody that I know found jobs right away. I know everybody in this last class
since I'm in administration, we do the recruitment for providers, physicians, as well as nurse practitioners. And Meredith is right. I mean, the demand is very high for nurse practitioners. We've certainly found, as we've implemented lean processes,